family invited me to a vacation without children, but when I arrived there were my sister children. We didn't have any extra money for your children, Mom said. I left and then, when my parents invited me to go on vacation, just the four of us, me, Mom, Dad, and my sister Emily, I was actually excited. It had been years since we'd done anything together as a family, and they were pitching it as a way to reconnect, like old times. No kids, no spouses, just us. I hesitated at first. I wasn't exactly rolling in money, and they knew it. But they assured me that all I had to do was buy my own ticket, and everything else would be taken care of. I figured that was fair. But then something gnawed at me. If they paid for everything, how could they afford their own tickets? Still, I wanted to go. It had been a long time since I felt like part of the family, instead of just the guy they occasionally called when they needed something. So, in a moment of generosity, and I'll admit, a little desperation to feel included, I surprised them by buying all of our tickets. It was a big financial hit, but their gratitude seemed genuine. Mom even called to tell me it was the sweetest thing I'd ever done. The day of the trip arrived, and I took a cab to the airport, feeling good about my decision. I hadn't had a real vacation in years, and I was looking forward to a break. But as soon as I saw my family in the terminal, my stomach sank. There they were, Mom, Dad, and Emily. And with them, Emily's two kids, Mia and Jack, bouncing excitedly, their little backpacks strapped on, ready for the trip. I stopped in my tracks. "What's going on?" I asked, looking at the kids and then back at my parents. Emily smiled, pretending that nothing was wrong. "Oh, we're all so excited. The kids have been counting down the days." I turned to my mom, waiting for her to explain. She gave me a knowing look, as if she had expected this reaction. "Well," she said, "you paid for our tickets, and we only had enough money left for the grandkids." I blinked. "What?" Emily shrugged. "It just happened, Kevin. We don't have any extra money for your child." My head was spinning. "But you told me this was an adults-only trip. I left my son at home because you said no kids." Mom waved her hand as if I was being dramatic. "Come on, Kevin, let's go on vacation without your wife and her son." Her son. I felt something snap. "You mean my son?" I corrected, my voice louder than I intended. They didn't even flinch. Dad just sighed, like I was making a scene for no reason. I looked at Emily. "You seriously went along with this?" She gave me that fake guilty smile she always used when she knew she was wrong but didn't want to admit it. "Kevin, it's no big deal. The kids deserve a vacation too." I took a step back, my pulse pounding. "So let me get this straight. You tricked me into paying for this trip, knowing that I would leave my son behind because you didn't want to include him? And now you expect me to just go along with it?" Dad groaned. "Kevin, don't start this. Let's just check in." I stared at them, feeling like an idiot. They had played me. They knew that if they had told me the truth, I wouldn't have left. They were counting on me to pay because I always bailed them out. And worst of all, they had never considered my son part of the family. A deep anger bubbled up inside me. I pulled out my phone, opened the airline app, and started typing. Emily frowned. "What are you doing?" "Canceling the tickets." Her face went pale. "Kevin, no dash. Vacation's cancelled," I said. Emily's hand gripped my arm as if she could physically stop me from canceling the tickets. "Kevin, don't. You're being ridiculous." I yanked my arm back and stared at her like I didn't even know who she was. "Ridiculous? I left my son at home because you told me this was an adults-only trip. And now I find out you had plenty of room for your kids? And I was the one who paid for it." Mom let out a dramatic sigh. "Kevin, don't make a thing out of this. We just..." "No. Say it," I cut in. "You didn't want my son there. Just admit it." She hesitated for a split second, long enough for me to know I was right. Then she shook her head. "Kevin, we don't have any extra money for your child. That's just reality. We had to make a choice." I felt my blood pressure rise. Your grandchild. You mean your grandchild? Emily stepped in, trying to smooth things over. Kev, we've been thinking about you. You work so hard. You deserve a break, a trip where you can just relax with no responsibilities. I scoffed. Oh, so that's how you spin it? You shut up my son, lied to me, tricked me into paying, and somehow it was all for me? Are you serious? Emily gave me that wide-eyed innocent look she always had when she was caught but didn't want to admit guilt. Kevin, it's not like that. We just thought it made sense. Mom crossed her arms. You need to calm down. You're making a scene. I looked around. Sure enough, people were starting to look over, some slowing down to eavesdrop. An entire family arguing in front of the check-in counter wasn't exactly subtle. I didn't care. You lied to me, I said again, my voice low but firm. And you knew what you were doing. You knew that if you told me the truth, I wouldn't come. You knew I'd feel bad and offer to pay. And when I did, you made sure the money went to your real grandchildren and not mine. Mom threw her hands up in the air. Kevin, we love your son. But we just dash. I cut her off. You love him? Really? I turned to Emily. If this had been my child instead of yours, would you have been okay with leaving him behind? Emily hesitated. Just for a second. That was all I needed. That's what I thought. I pulled out my phone and opened the airline app. Emily's eyes widened. Kevin, what are you doing? Canceling the tickets. Her face paled. Kevin, don't. Mom looked angry now. You wouldn't. I hit confirm. Refund processed. Dad, who had been silent, finally spoke. Jesus, Kevin. Could you be any more dramatic? I turned to him. Dramatic? You think I'm the one being dramatic? I gestured between them. You tricked me. You shut out my son. You used my money. And now, because I won't just roll over and take it, I'm the bad guy. Mom shook her head. You're being ridiculous. You already paid for the trip. What's done is done. Emily nodded, as if this was just a minor misunderstanding. Come on, Kevin. We're here. Let's just go. The kids are excited. Don't ruin it for them. I laughed. Really laughed. You think I'm just going to smile and go on a trip with you after all this? Are you out of your mind? Mom snapped. You're acting like a victim over nothing. That was it. I took a step back and shook my head. You know what? Have fun explaining to the kids why the trip is cancelled. I turned and started to walk away. Emily called after me. Kevin! Kevin! Mom yelled. Kevin, fix this right now. I didn't even look back. By the time I got in the cab, my phone was already blowing up. First Emily. Then Mom. Then Dad. I ignored every single call. I thought they would be pissed. I figured they would try to make me feel guilty. But I wasn't prepared for what they did next. I barely had time to catch my breath when I got home before the knocking started. At first I ignored it. I knew who it was, and I wasn't in the mood. But after 5 minutes of relentless knocking, my wife, Sarah, finally looked out the window. It's your parents, she said, already annoyed. And your sister. Of course. I opened the door a crack. Go home. Mom pushed the door open the rest of the way. Oh no, we're not done talking. Dad and Emily followed behind her, faces tight with fake concern. Sarah came up beside me, arms crossed. What the hell is going on? Mom turned to her, shifting gears so quickly it made my head spin. Her voice softened to something almost apologetic. Sarah, I'm so sorry you had to find out this way. Sarah frowned. Find out what? I felt my stomach drop. Mom. Don't. She sighed and shook her head as if disappointed in me. Kevin canceled the trip because he didn't want to leave you and your son behind. He was just too embarrassed to tell us the truth at the airport. My jaw actually dropped. Are you what? Emily nodded, jumping in as if she had rehearsed this. Yeah, Kev, we get it. You just wanted a break from being a dad. You should have just said so instead of making a scene. I almost laughed at how quickly they flipped the script. Sarah turned to me, her eyes narrowing. What are they talking about? I threw my hands up. Lies. All of it. I looked back at my family. You really think she's going to believe that? Mom let out a dramatic sigh. Kevin, we're not angry. We just wish you would have been honest. If you wanted time away from Sarah and the kid, we could have worked something out. Sarah's face darkened. You mean our son? The grandson you didn't want on the trip? Mom gave her a barely there smile. Honey, we love him, but we didn't have the money to take him. Sarah scoffed. But you had money for Emily's kids? Emily immediately played the victim. That's not fair, Dash. Sarah cut her off. No, what's not fair is that you lied to Kevin, made him pay for the trip, and then tried to shut out his child. And now you're standing in our house making up some ridiculous story to cover your asses? Dad, who had been silent, finally spoke. Sarah, listen. Kevin obviously felt guilty about leaving without you. That's why he did what he did. I could not believe this. Are you serious? You're actually doubling down on this? Mom waved her hand. Kevin, you were guilty. You just took it out on us instead of admitting it. Sarah turned to me. Tell me you canceled the trip because of what they did. Not because you wanted to stay home. I looked straight at her. I canceled because they lied to me. Because they used me. Because they didn't want our son there. Sarah nodded. That's what I thought. She turned back to them. Get out. Mom gasped, as if personally offended. Sarah, don't be dramatic, Dash. Sarah stepped forward. Get out. Now. Emily looked at me, still trying to act innocent. Kev, seriously? You're just going to let her talk to us like that? I stared at her, completely done. You should be grateful that she's the one kicking you out, not me. Mom let out another fake sigh, as if we were being unreasonable. But she turned and muttered to Dad and Emily as she walked out. As the door closed behind them, Sarah took a deep breath. What the hell's wrong with them? I shook my head. I don't know. But I'm done letting them get away with this. I thought that would be the end of it. I was very wrong. After my parents and Emily left, Sarah and I just stood there in silence. I knew they were bad, she finally said, shaking her head. But this? They tried to turn me against you. I exhaled and rubbed my temples. They're desperate. They hate looking like the bad guys. Sarah crossed her arms. They are the bad guys. I didn't disagree. But in the back of my mind, I knew this wasn't over. They weren't the type to just let things go. And I was right. The next morning, I woke up to a series of texts from Emily. Emily, Kevin, we need to talk. Call me. Emily, please, I just want to explain. Emily, Mom and Dad are really upset. This is getting out of hand. Emily, you have no idea what you just did. That last message made my stomach turn. Sarah came in holding her own phone. Are you seeing this? She held up a Facebook post. Mom had written a long rant about family betrayal, how she had always been there for her children, but sometimes a mother had to accept that one of them had gone too far. The comments were exactly what you'd expect. Aunt Linda, oh no, what happened? Mom's friend Denise, you've always been such a good mother. If someone hurt you, they don't deserve you. Random cousin I haven't seen in 10 years. Family is everything. Some people forget that. Sarah scrolled down and snorted. She's playing the poor mom card. I shook my head. She's trying to get ahead of the story. Make sure everyone feels sorry for her before they hear the truth. Sarah's eyes scanned the comments again, then suddenly tensed. Oh my God! She turned the phone around so I could see. There it was. Emily, I've tried so hard to keep our family together, but I can't control what Kevin does. He made his choice. We just have to move on. Sarah stared at me. She's throwing you under the bus. I picked up my phone and called Emily. She picked up on the second ring. I literally canceled the trip and you're acting like I set the house on fire. She sighed. Kevin, this isn't just about the trip. Oh, really? Then what is it about? Mom and Dad are done with you, she said. They told me last night. I let out a humorless laugh. Oh, they're done with me? That's rich. After they lied? They used me? Emily hesitated. Then, in the most fake, condescending voice possible, she said, Kevin, you kind of overreacted. My blood boiled. You've got to be kidding me. She went on. You embarrassed Mom and Dad at the airport. You humiliated them. They're hurt, Kevin. And instead of apologizing, you doubled down. Apologize? I repeated. You want me to apologize? She sighed, as if I had exhausted her. Look, I get it. You're angry. But this whole war with them, it's not worth it. Just fix things. I clenched my jaw. Let me get this straight. You're on their side? I'm staying neutral, she said quickly. I scoffed. No, you're not. You're lying to make them look better. You're pretending to be neutral while you stab me in the back. She was silent for a second. Then she said something that turned everything upside down. I have to side with them, Kevin. I frowned. What? She hesitated. I just can't afford to get on Mom and Dad's bad side right now. And that's when it hit me. Wait, I said slowly. Is this about your debt? She didn't answer. I felt my stomach sink. The $40,000 she owed. The debt I'd been helping her with for months. Oh my God, I whispered. They're holding it over you, aren't they? She exhaled. Kevin, don't dash. I let out a sharp laugh. No wonder you're supporting them. You think they'll pay off your debt if you side with them? More silence. I shook my head. You're pathetic. Kevin dash. I'm done, I said. I'm done helping you. Her voice cracked. Wait, what? No, Kevin, that's not what I mean dash. I hung up. Sarah raised an eyebrow. So? I looked at her and said the words I should have said a long time ago. She's on her own now. I put the phone down and took a deep breath. Sarah sat down next to me and studied my face. She wanted you to keep paying off her debt, didn't she? I nodded. Yep. And I was stupid enough to think she actually cared about me. Sarah sighed. I hate to say it, but this has been a long time coming. Your parents always played you two against each other. She just went along with it because it was easier for her. I ran a hand through my hair. Yeah, well, she's going to have a hard time now that she's $40,000 in the hole. Sarah grinned. Good. Let them bail her out for once. I thought that was the end of it. That Emily would back off, that my parents would take their loss and move on. But I underestimated how far they were willing to go. The next day, Sarah and I were having breakfast when there was a loud knock at the door. We both froze. Sarah looked at me. If that's your mother, I swear to God. I got up and opened the door, bracing myself. But it wasn't my mother. It was Emily. And she looked wrecked. Her hair was messy, her face was blotchy from crying, and she had the look of someone who had been begging for something all night. What do you want? I asked, already exhausted. She took a shaky breath. Kevin, please don't do this. I crossed my arms. Do what exactly? She wiped her face. I can't do this without you. I need your help. I need the money. I let out a bitter laugh. Oh, you mean the money I gave you while you stabbed me in the back? She winced. I didn't stab you in the back dash. You lied about me online. You let Mom and Dad twist everything, and you didn't say a damn word to stop it. She shook her head frantically. Kevin, I had no choice. I scoffed. There's always a choice, Emily. She swallowed hard. Okay. You're right. I messed up. But please, Kevin, I need your help. Mom and Dad dash. She cut herself off. My eyes narrowed. Mom and Dad what? She looked away. They said they wouldn't help me. I blinked. Wait. After all this, they won't pay off your debt? She nodded quickly, looking embarrassed. They said it wasn't their responsibility. That I should learn to handle my own finances. I let out a sharp laugh. Oh, that's rich. So you betrayed me for nothing. Her eyes filled with tears. Kevin, I'm begging you. For a brief second, I felt a pang of sympathy. This was classic Mom and Dad dangling something in front of us, making us fight for it, and then pulling it away when they got what they wanted. But then I remembered everything. The airport. The Facebook post. The way she stood there while they lied to Sarah's face. I straightened. No. She let out a shaky breath. Please. No, I said again. I'm done. I've spent my whole life bending over backwards for this family. And for what? So they can toss me aside when it's convenient? I stepped back. Figure it out for yourself. Her lip quivered. You don't mean that. I stared at her. Yes. I do. Then I slammed the door in her face. Sarah waited for me in the kitchen. Well? I let out a breath. She's on her own now. Sarah nodded in agreement. Good. I wish that had been the end of it. But I should have known better. For that night my mother called me. That night, just as I was getting ready for bed, my phone rang. Mom. I let it ring. Then it rang again. Sarah, who was lying next to me, moaned. Are you going to answer it? I sighed. Might as well. I answered. What? Mom's voice was eerily calm. Kevin, I'm only going to say this once. Fix this. I rolled my eyes. Fix what, exactly? She exhaled sharply, as if she was so tired of my attitude. Your sister's in trouble and you're just standing there letting her drown. I grinned. You mean the sister who had you publicly lie about me? The one who expected me to keep paying her debts while she trashed me online? She's family, Kevin. No, I said firmly. She's your problem now. There was a pause. Then, in a voice so cold it actually gave me chills, she said, If you don't help your sister, you're out of the will. I actually laughed. Oh no, I said mockingly. Not the will. But will I survive? She didn't like that. You think this is funny? I shrugged. Kind of. You expect me to grovel for money I never counted on? She huffed. Your father and I have worked hard for what we have. And if you want any of it, you better start acting like a son again. I grinned. So let me get this straight. You dangled money in front of Emily to control her, and now that she's useless to you, you're trying the same trick on me? Silence. Then, you're making a big mistake. I stretched out on the bed, feeling lighter than I had in years. No, Mom. The mistake was ever thinking you actually cared about me. Then I hung up. That was the last time I talked to them. I blocked their numbers, ignored their emails, and when Christmas came, I didn't even open the guilt-ridden letter they sent me. Emily sent a few more desperate messages, but I never responded. And as for the inheritance? They did exactly what I expected, rewrote their wills, leaving everything to Emily and her children. And I still didn't care. For the first time in my life, I was free. And she didn't call to apologize.